Namaskar friends, this is NJ, your host on this channel. In this video, we are going to have our discussion on the upcoming transit of planet Jupiter, which is going to be changing signs on April 13th. So as currently Jupiter is transiting in the sign of Aquarius, but on April 13th, 2022, Jupiter will enter its own sign of Pisces. And for next 1 year, from April 13th, 2022 till April 21st of 2023, Jupiter is going to be in a dignified state in the transit. It is definitely going to go retrograde in between as well from July 28th till November 23rd of 2022. But still friends, just because planet is going to be dignified basis its sign placement, basis even its nakshatra placement, so it is only going to manifest good and better results only. So now friends, in the last video on this same topic, we already had our discussion on the importance of the Jupiter's transit and also gave you indicative result of Jupiter's presence in the Pisces sign. So before we will start our discussion customized to all the ascendants, I'm just going to give you a quick summary of all of that which we discussed in the last video. So friends, like the way when we talk about anything to do with opening up new doors of opportunities, connecting you with kind of a transcendental knowledge and wisdom, or anything to do with the healing of all the wounds or all the crises or the traumas which you might have been going through. So for all of those prospects, we always look forward to Jupiter's placement or transit movement. Like the way we say this thing, irrespective of how and in which state your fifth house lord is. For example, because fifth house, which tells about your intelligence, it tells about your education, it tells about the kind of happiness you're going to derive from children. So apart from in which dignity and condition your fifth house lord is, individually we have to look at the condition of the planet Jupiter, because Jupiter is the karaka, it is the significator of all these areas of our life. No matter in which area of life you are in, you need the blessing, you need the support of the planet Jupiter. That is the only reason, no matter what kind of afflictions you have in your chart, in the form of the kind of afflicted yogas planets might be creating in your chart, but if that afflicted house is receiving the benefit aspect from the planet Jupiter, that means all those afflictions or the intensity of causing harm of those dreaded yogas is definitely going to get reduced because of the benefic touch or aspect of the planet Jupiter. And friends, if you have to understand it from the contribution of Jupiter in the Pisces, so definitely friends, when we talk about anything to do with the wisdom prospect, Jupiter represents wisdom. Jupiter attains exaltation in the Cancer sign. Jupiter has got the rulership of the Sagittarius sign as well. But when we talk about going beyond, so that is the prospect which is generally attached with the Pisces sign. And definitely friends, anything to do with compassion, anything to do with generosity, the true generosity is where you do not have your own self-interest attached, where you are unconditionally ready to help and serve and heal the world. So those kind of prospects we generally attach with the Jupiter's presence or its influence in the Pisces sign. And definitely friends, anything to do with the prospects of the luck. So even from the luck perspective as well, we have to see the strength of the Jupiter in the chart. I still remember that quote from Winston Churchill, where he once said that all those people who were in the Titanic, they were rich, they were healthy, but they were not lucky. Like, I should not be saying this thing because I actually very much empathize with the current ongoing war situation which is taking place right now in the world. But I was watching this thing in the news. So there was this one person, so he was initially in the Afghanistan. So because of the Taliban issues and all of that, and when all the countries in the world, they opened up their doors for the giving asylum and giving political refuge to the people from Afghanistan. So this person, out of all the countries, he chose Ukraine. The moment he came to Ukraine, and couple of weeks back only, as we know that the situation of war and everything, so from one war situation, his destiny, his stars brought him to another war afflicted situation and circumstances. So the point which I'm trying to make over here is that luck and your fortune also plays a very important role in your life, and beyond doubt it's the condition and dignity of Jupiter in your chart only which tells about that whether you have the capacity to receive the divine grace or not. For attaining and receiving the divine grace, you do not have to all the time go to the ashrams or the monasteries. If you have a strong Jupiter, the benefic aspect of Jupiter is working in your life. So not only divine grace is going to be protecting you, but apart from that, you have this subtle, fine distinction to see the good and bad in your daily life. So that is something, friends, which we discussed in the last video. Now we will take our discussion to the next level and we will try to understand the customized results for all the ascendants. Before, friends, I'm going to get to that part. As you know this thing that in the month of April, there is a lot of planetary shift which is gonna take place. But the beauty over here is that all the planets are in a dignified state. For example, it's a very rare phenomena that Jupiter, which represents expansion, it is going to be well placed in its own sign. Saturn, which represents restriction, Saturn is definitely going to be in a dignified state as well, because during this whole year Saturn is going to make a journey within its own ruled signs only, whether we talk about Capricorn, whether we talk about Aquarius. So in a way, friends, planets being very much in harmonious state, and during this day of Jupiter in the Pisces sign, it is not going to get in touch or get conjunct with any other slow moving planet, like for example the possibility of getting conjunct with Rahu or Ketu or with Saturn is not at all there in this year. So because of which, friends, trust me, the grace of the Jupiter is going to be showering in all of our lives in transit. So it all comes down to how much your energies are attuned towards all those aspects of life, because Jupiter in Sagittarius energy could be given attention, or the influence of Jupiter in the Sagittarius can be take you towards the religious austerity. But when we talk about the influence of Jupiter in Pisces, it is all about spirituality. It is all about fixing your breathing pattern, connecting with the universal consciousness, taking out time for yoga, for meditation, for spirituality, and finding that solace in seclusion. So you do not have to go to the crowded places. Whatsoever you are seeking, the answers of all of those curiosities, all of those turmoils can be found within only. That is something which the energy of Jupiter in the Pisces represent. So okay, friends, now starting with the customized transit results for all the Aries ascendant natives. So definitely, friends, in your case, Jupiter holds a very key portfolio. All of your prospects of religious austerities and your faith is somehow or can take you to the path of enlightenment, and that is the one department which Jupiter holds in your life. So you are very lucky in this regard that your intensity of your religious austerity is straight away connected with the doors of the gods, which is the enlightenment. And the planet which has got the say, the planet which rules these two houses, represents divinity in itself. So the point which I'm trying to make over here is that, friends, now when we talk about from anything to do with the material perspective, so definitely if your life hovers around the 12th house related matters, like anything to do with the foreign trade, anything to do with import export, travel, business and all of that, you want to settle down, or you have already applied for residentship or immigration to a foreign country. So I would say this year and this transit of Jupiter can help you in all of these matters. So that is regarding the material aspect. Now if you want to understand from the spiritual perspective, so like the way I have already mentioned this thing, you have to take out time for doing meditation, fixing up your breathing pattern, and any of the gestures of unconditional help and service to the needy people can actually bring lot of self improvement in your life. That is the second thing which I wanted to say. Third thing is that, friends, definitely if you have been battling with any of the past trauma, any of the crisis, any of the concerns of addiction or abuse, so I would say the transit of Jupiter in the Pisces in the 12th house can be seen as a very good sign for actually recovering from all of those issues which you might have been going through from the past sometime. Because friends, the transit of Jupiter is not like a monthly or a weekly event like like fast moving planets when we talk about Mercury or Venus. So it's a very like once in 12 years Jupiter is going to enter your 12th house, which has got the pearls of divine wisdom, of spiritual bliss. So during this transit of Jupiter in your 12th house, you can make the best use out of it. And let's say, for example, if your livelihood is straight away connected with the 12th house, whether it's about you being a yoga teacher, a meditation expert, or anything to do with the Kundalini chakra healing, or you have got a shop where you sell or you deal in sale and purchase of these items. So definitely friends, the transit of Jupiter in your 12th house can be seen as a harbinger of very good news. But friends, in totality, if I were to pin down my hope or my expectations from this transit, so I would put more of my my expectations on the spiritual potential of this transit for all of you Aries ascendant natives, because not only all of you, even I am an Aries ascendant native. So definitely during this time, once Jupiter is going to enter the 12th house, I'm actually going to take out more time for yoga, meditation and discipline and all these things, because my religious austerities are always very firm. So if I have to keep fasting, do fasting on Tuesdays, on Saturdays, do Hanumanji's Sundarkand every day, I maintain that. It's just only the yoga and meditation part which gets compromised. So during this time, I'm going to follow the same, and I request you and I insist you for doing the same as well. It's going to be a very blessed time when Jupiter is going to be transiting from your 12th house. I would not say that the expenses could go high, because yeah, definitely Jupiter, which is the significator of expansion, 12th house represents losses, but again friends, from the material perspective, Jupiter is going to be in a dignified state, and Saturn, which is the planet of restriction, it is also dignified. So I'm not seeing much of the expenses going high, but definitely regarding any of the wounds, any of the crisis, any of the trauma, and expecting a healing touch, a hand over there, that is something which I'm more looking forward to with this transit of Jupiter for all the Aries ascendant natives. Moving ahead friends, now if you want to understand the results for all the Taurus ascendant natives, so definitely friends, in your case, as you can fairly see that Jupiter is going to be entering your 11th house. So this can be seen as a very good transit for all the Taurus ascendant natives. Friends, try to understand this thing. Basis the house ownership, if we were to look at, Jupiter is not a very auspicious planet for all the Taurus ascendant native. Now when I say that Jupiter is not very auspicious planet, because even 11th house is considered as a mild malefic house, 8th house is the prime malefic house. So the only vulnerability comes regarding the spiritual aspect or the divine wisdom aspect, that there you might compromise or you might be more driven towards your material fulfillment and all of that, because at the end of the day, all of this knowledge of spirituality, astrology is to put you on the path of your spiritual elevation. So the point which I'm trying to make over here is that from the material perspective, this is a very beneficial transit of the Jupiter for all the Taurus ascendant native. Your spiritual inclination might take a toss or might get compromised, but regarding the fulfillment of your dreams, of your goals, of your wishes, for any sort of material progress, this transit is going to be bringing lot of opportunities for all the Taurus ascendant natives. And friends, when we talk about Jupiter, which in itself is the significator of not only opportunities, it is the planet of vision, and 11th house represents all these sort of your vision for the future, all those things which you want to improve in your life, all those kind of objectives, your goals, your plans, is something which we see from the 11th house. And the beauty of the 11th house is that it also provides you the relevant and necessary support from your community, from your friends, from the kind of organizations you are a part of, you are a member of. So regarding all of that front, this transit can be seen as a very good news. And along with that friends, like when we talk about 8th house and 11th house energy, see, I am a kind of person, my whole life gets governed by these two houses only. Like all of my planets are in these two houses if I were to give you a snapshot summary of my own chart. So as you know that 8th house, which represents unexpected, unpredictable events. 11th house is the house of wish fulfillment. So I guess I already solved your riddle. So the point which I'm trying to make over here is that definitely if your nature of work involves like some sort of, you are in art or creative fields, anything to do with politics, anything to do with content creation, or all those people who work on, on a freelance basis, on contractual nature of income, they can definitely get benefited because of some sudden unpredictable event which could work in their favor. So now it all comes down to how much of the seeds you have already sown, what kind of dashas you are going through, and what is the dignity of Jupiter in your natal chart. Friends, I forgot to mention this thing at the beginning of this video, that when we talk about Jupiter, it is the most important planet in our life. I always say this thing, that when we talk about Jupiter's assessment in the chart, so do not resort only to looking at it in the natal chart. You have to see its placement in the Navamsa chart. Out of all the Gemini karakas, which department Jupiter is holding in your life, how much are the Ashtavarga points Jupiter has got. So I would say then in totality you can come to this summary, that is Jupiter a good planet for you or not. Just on the basis of its placement in the Lagan chart is not a sufficient information for you to come to any conclusion. So now friends, summarizing this thing for the Taurus ascendant native, this time period can be seen as a very beneficial time, whether if you are in that stage of your life where you have already sown a lot of seeds, you have invested in some particular field, you are anticipating good returns out of it, or let's say for example you are in that crossroad of your life where you want to invest in some education, in some training, in some skill, paving foundation for some new business, working on some new business ideas. All those things can be foreseen for all the Taurus ascendant natives. Moving ahead friends, now for all the Gemini ascendant natives, so friends, in your case, as you can freely see over here, that Jupiter is going to be transiting from your 10th house. So now friends, Jupiter has got the rulership of your 7th house, it has got the rulership of your 10th house, and when we talk about the transit movement of Jupiter specifically in the 10th house of your actions, of your profession, of your karma, so it has more to do with the prospects of enhancement of your respect, of your honor, of your social prestige and all of that. So let's say for example, if you are in that stage of your life where you are anticipating some new role, some sort of promotion that could materialize, and along with that friends, Jupiter, which is the significator of benevolence, of optimism. So let's say for example, if in your nature or line of work or in your professional sphere you have got this notion that position or responsibilities or title which you deserve, you're not being bestowed upon by that, or you're not remained lucky in the form of getting all those access to those opportunities or those important key position or access to making contacts with those influential people. So all those things can materialize. Friends, try to understand this thing, that in your case Jupiter is not only coming to 10th house, Jupiter is coming straight away out of the 9th house and then entering the 10th house. So I would say that if you are a person who's very religious driven, you're a kind of person who believe in doing the right actions, and these are the kind of seeds which you have sown in the past 1 year when Jupiter was transiting in your 9th house. So I would say that the results of all the good deeds, charitable gestures, religious austerities done by you might manifest this time once Jupiter is going to enter your 10th house. Friends, I always say this thing, that when we talk about 10th house is something which governs our actions in the broad daylight. So whatsoever your actions and the way they are being perceived by the world, that is something which comes out of the scrutinization of the 10th house. So yes friends, definitely in terms of new professional, some sort of opportunities, new roles, and most importantly enhancement of your public image can be foreseen with this entry of Jupiter in your 10th house. I would say friends that let's say for example, if you are in that stage of your life where you are anticipating some changes, because friends, now the beauty over here is that because very soon Mars is not a very auspicious planet for you guys, but Rahu is going to enter your 11th house as well. So if you are a kind of person who is always looking forward to new role, new challenges, new opportunities. So I would say this transit of Jupiter might support all of those chances, all of those initiatives at the time when it is going to be transiting from your 10th house. Moving ahead, friends, now if you want to understand the results for all the Cancer ascendant natives, so definitely friends, this is going to be very auspicious, very beneficial transit for all the Cancer ascendant natives, because Jupiter is going to be entering your house of luck, fortune and dharma. So friends, now when we talk about for the Cancer ascendant native, just the ascendant itself is the sign where Jupiter attains exaltation. The second thing is that with Jupiter, which has also got the rulership of your 6th house as well. So let's say for example, if your nature of work, your line of work involves service, it involves healing, it involves any of the medical field, you are definitely going to get benefited. If you are working in the fields of, because when all the qualities of Jupiter find harmony, find resonance in the 9th house. Now whether if you are a judge, you work in judiciary, anything to do with law, with teaching, with publishing, with writing profile, being in a business of import, export, so all those people can definitely get benefited. And the good part over here is that friends, just because I mentioned this thing, Jupiter, which has also got the rulership of your 6th house as well. So 6th house, which represents our daily routines, our daily work life. So definitely in your daily work life, support of luck might improve your work related circumstances. I would say that friends, specifically for you guys, this is a very beneficial time for you to, if you are a Hindu, a believer and follower, the worship of Lord Vishnu during this time. Like I would insist rather, during this whole time when Jupiter is going to be transiting your 9th house from April 13th of 2022 till April 21st of 2023, listening to the Vishnu Sahasranam can be seen as a very good remedy for getting the best out of the grace of the planet Jupiter. Like it's not only the Hindu followers, like even if you are a Christian, you are a Muslim, being regular, being very much disciplined with your religious austerities, with your prayers, can actually open up many new doors for you guys. Because friends, I already mentioned this thing, whenever we talk about anything to do with the improvement of your prevailing circumstances, opening up new door of opportunities, that is something which we always attach with Jupiter in astrology. And Jupiter's transit in the 9th house in its own sign can be seen as a very good news. So remain very much respectful towards your relationship with your father. All those people who work in the fields of, like who hold some spiritual or religious department or designation titles, remain very much respectful towards them during this time. Do not question, contradict or mock your belief, your values. And I would say that definitely friends, from the support of luck perspective, lot many travels, new doors opening up, from all of those regards, this transit can be seen as very beneficial for all the Cancer ascendant natives. Moving ahead friends, now for all the Leo ascendant natives, so definitely friends, in your case, as you can freely see that Jupiter is going to be transiting in your 8th house. Now Jupiter is a very good friend with your ascendant lord. It has also got the rulership of your 5th house as well. So now friends, the material side of this transit will definitely benefit you if your life hovers around the 8th house related matters. Anything to do with the insurance, with revenue, with joint resources, wills, any of the property, paternal property related issues if you are going through. If you are a banker, you are in any sort of investment profile, you work in the fields of spirituality, astrology, psychology, counseling, you can definitely get benefited. But moreover friends, like this is going to be time period where you have to be in this mode of self introspection, of preparation, of research, because 8th house energy is kind of a hidden energy. So be in this mode of preparing yourself rather than making announcement. So that is one thing which I want to say over here. Definitely friends, this transit is going to benefit you a lot in any way if you are connected with the fields of creativity, of spirituality, because 5th house, which represents your devotion to your Ishta Devta, your favorite, your chosen god, and the 5th house lord getting very much strengthened in your 8th house can be seen as a very good energy for showering your devotion, your affection towards your Ishta Devta. So for anything to do with yoga, meditation, spirituality, taking interest in the occult sciences, because friends, try to understand this thing, like when we talk about the transit of Jupiter its influence with the Pisces, and combining this energy in the 8th house, it's all about your intuition guiding you well, a right set of mentors, advisors, and people with the very true transcendental spiritual potential guiding you. Because friends, when we talk about astrology, we talk about numerology, a person who has got strong Mercury or strong Venus can also excel in these fields. But when we talk about all those people who have got that strong spiritual aura, that sort of stature, that kind of transcendental knowledge, those kind of energies, those kind of people guiding you, those sort of mentors, advisors coming in your life and guiding you in the right path of occult, of mysticism. So I would say that this is definitely going to be very beneficial time for you for any sort of spiritual elevation. That is the one thing which I want to say to all the Leo ascendant natives. And definitely friends, if in your case you have been going through some issues regarding your your joint resources and all of that, any sort of trauma, any sort of crisis, so some healing waters, divine touch is definitely going to fix all of those problems if you have been going through them. Moving ahead friends, now if you want to understand the results for all the Virgo ascendant natives, so definitely friends, in your case Jupiter is going to be transiting your 7th house. So Jupiter, which has got the rulership of your 4th house, and it has got the rulership of your 7th house, so it's kind of creating a Panch Mahapurush yoga for all of you guys. The second way to look at this is friends, 7th house also tells about our public image, all those people who deal with the mass media. The second thing is that in the original Kalpurush Kundli, 7th house has something to do with the Venusian qualities as well. So all of your offering is definitely going to have a artistic touch in it as well. If you are working in the fields of, like, you have your own business, you are an actor, you are a musician, you are in travel business, all those people can definitely get benefited. And along with that friends, if you have been single, you are awaiting someone to enter your life, so this can be seen as a very promising time period for people to look forward to matrimonial alliance, to get into the ties and the bond of marriage. So even regarding that front, this time period or this transit of Jupiter in the 7th house can be seen as a very good news. The only one thing which I want to advise to all the Virgo ascendant native is that friends, like when we talk about the Pisces energy, is all about sensitivity towards the need of the others, like compassion for the others. So 7th house not only represents your partner within the marriage, it represents the masses. So I would say remain compassionate and generous in your dealing with the world, and trust me, this transit of Jupiter holds the key to give you commercial benefits, enhancement of your public image, more opportunities. All those things can be foreseen with this transit of Jupiter in your 7th house. Moving ahead friends, now if you want to understand the results for all the Libra ascendant natives, so definitely friends, in your case Jupiter has got the rulership of your 6th house, and in transit Jupiter is going to be getting empowered over there. So friends, the good part of this transit movement of Jupiter is that definitely your daily work life is definitely going to get this divine touch of the Jupiter. So for example, even if you are on a mid management, you are on a top management, so you will get this sense that people will start supporting you in your daily work life. All those routines, all those habits, all those situations which needs to be improved, which needs to be made better, that is definitely going to happen. And let's say for example, if your livelihood, your occupation is straight away connected with the 6th house related matters, whether you are a gym trainer, whether you are a Reiki healer, whether you are a nurse, anything to do with service or healing or fitness industry, you are a nutritionist, all those people can get benefited. And friends, like the way I always say this thing, that even if you're going through some sort of a 6th house related problems, whether it has anything to do with your concerns of your debts, concerns of troubles on the account of enemies, or any health related concerns, specifically if your health related concerns come in the purview of the Jupiter, any of the concerns of liver related problem, thyroid related problem, diabetes or insomnia, any of those problems if you're going through, you can actually feel the improvement in your conditions. Friends, the only thing which I want to say over here is that if you are in that condition, that you are on a mid management where a lot of people or a large team reports to you. So the more empathetic you will remain towards them, trust me, if you will pay good service to people, you cannot even imagine to the extent when people can go, where people can go to pay back your those generous gestures. So that is the kind of dictum, that is the kind of wisdom which is getting applied for all the Libra ascendant natives during this time when Jupiter is going to be transiting in your 6th house. So friends, at the beginning only I have mentioned this thing, that the summary of the transit of Jupiter is all about improvement of our prevalent circumstances. It's about wisdom, it's about new opportunities, it's about healing, because Pisces energy is also coming in play. So all those things you will experience in the matters of your 6th house. So I would say that in your daily work life, if you want to make some changes, you want to try some new role, some new responsibilities, new leadership style to deal with people, so I would say the transit of Jupiter in the 6th house will definitely give you insight regarding experimenting with all these things, and you will definitely see improvement in the matters of your health, financial liabilities, and how to deal challenging circumstances, challenging people with gracefulness. Moving ahead friends, now if you want to understand the results for all the Scorpio ascendant natives, so definitely friends, in your case Jupiter is a very important planet for you guys, because when we talk about the Scorpio ascendant natives, these are very intense people, whether we talk about from your emotion perspective or whether in terms of taking risk and chances in the life. So major risk is something which we always attach with our financial matters, because Jupiter in your case has got the rulership of your 2nd house, and it has also got the rulership of your 5th house as well. So not only the matters of the finances, these people are always ready and proactive to take chances, take risks, but I have also seen a lot many times that when we talk about the belief perspective, that in many cases of the Scorpio ascendant native, like they generally go forward to seeking refuge in the devotion and worship of their family cult, devata, guru, and ish devata. So like for example, if in your family there is a tradition that your family has been from generations a strong disciple or devotee of Lord Vishnu, so a Scorpio ascendant native person might follow the same path only. So that is something which is just because of the alignment and or the house ownership. These are the natural tendencies which comes in our personality, in our behavior. But apart from that friends, focusing on the transit results, so definitely friends, 5th house has to do with enjoyment, 5th house has to do with the knowledge, 5th house has to do with progeny. So all these 5th house related matters are definitely going to receive the divine grace. So whether if you are in the fields of art or creativity, you can definitely get benefited. If you are single, the prospects of finding a solace in a relationship are definitely going to be very strong, very promising. And friends, 5th house also has to do with our intelligence. It has also to do with our risk taking abilities. So I would say in the matters of finances, some good financial management, investments, taking chances, new doors, new opportunities, new collaboration can be foreseen with this transit of Jupiter in your 5th house. Like I would say that this is also going to be a very promising time if you want to upgrade your education, you want to take some certification, you want to take some training, some new classes, short-term diploma. So even from that perspective, this transit of Jupiter in the 5th house can be seen as a very promising news. And along with that friends, for all those people who are waiting or planning to expand their family, so the transit of Jupiter in the 5th house can also prove to be very beneficial for that front as well, regarding getting a very good progeny or being blessed with the progeny. So even from that front friends, this transit of Jupiter in your 5th house can be seen as a very good news. So lastly friends, if I were to summarize, so all the 5th house related matters, where when we talk about the 5th house, it has got a spiritual potential, it has got a material potential, it has got a very strong devotional potential as well. So all these areas are definitely going to receive the divine grace of the transit of Jupiter in your 5th house. And friends, when we talk about the 5th house, 5th house also tells about the transformation transformation in our profession, because if 10th house is your profession, 5th house is 8th house ahead of it. Like when we talk about your initiatives, your efforts, that is the 3rd house. But when we talk about your capacity to bring transformation in your professional life, so that is something which we see from the 5th house. So I would say, friends, that this is definitely going to be very promising, very good time for you guys. Remain very proactive, remain very welcoming regarding any development, any restructuring which is gonna take place in your professional front. And I would say that the benevolence aspect, the feel good factor tend to remain very strong whenever planets like Jupiter or Venus, they crosses from the 5th house. So this is definitely going to be a time period of spending time with your friends, with your family, going for short trips, taking up some hobby, some all those kind of recreational aspect or recreational activities. Enjoyable activities can also be foreseen for all the Scorpio ascendant natives. Moving ahead, friends, now for all the Sagittarius ascendant natives, Jupiter is going to be transiting in your 4th house. So not only, friends, Jupiter is your ascendant lord, its transit in the 4th house can be seen as a very good news. But apart from that, Jupiter has got an affinity with the 4th house related matters, because in the original Kalpurush Kundli, this is the house where Jupiter attains exaltation. So definitely, friends, whether we talk about from the material perspective, that if you are in that stage of your life, you are planning to buy a home, or you're planning to do any construction, any renovation in your home, you can look forward to all those things. And along with that, friends, like when we talk about Jupiter's influence in the 4th house which represents your emotions, your feelings. So many times what happens is that these natives tend to remain very lucky in finding that sort of emotional contentment in whatsoever they have, rather than always craving for the external superficiality. So I would say that that sort of emotional contentment perspective, your heart, your emotions crave for religious austerity, spiritual austerities regarding that front, and some sort of good events in your domestic life, whether you have to get married, whether you are in that age group, you have to find a suitable match for your children. So any of the domestic matters in your life will definitely going to receive the divine grace once Jupiter is going to enter your 4th house. So regarding getting that sort of emotional stability, emotional fulfillment, contentment, whether deep within yourself or whether in your domestic life, improvement in your domestic life or domestic relationship, all those things can be foreseen with this transit of Jupiter in your 4th house. Definitely Jupiter is going to be opening up so many doors for you, which is going to give you strong stability or strong foundation in your life. So regarding that front, this transit of Jupiter in your 4th house can be seen as a very good sign, and I would encourage you to if that is possible, basis all the craziness which is going outside in the world, viruses and everything, if that is possible, organizing any spiritual event or religious gathering in your home, or those sort of events can be seen as a very good news of inviting the divine grace and the blessings of the Jupiter in your domestic life related matters. Like all the Hindu followers and believers, they keep on organizing some puja like Satyanarayana puja or Sundarakand Path. So that kind of events, the religious events. So regarding that front, this transit of Jupiter in your 4th house can be seen as a very good sign. I've already mentioned this thing, friends. Jupiter is the significator of opportunities and the improvement of our life circumstances. Jupiter is the planet of hope and optimism. So definitely deep within you will find this inner drive which you will push you forward regarding your goals, your wish fulfillment. And along with that, if you have been a victim of any sort of past trauma or any sort of circumstances of psychological or emotional mental crisis, if you have been going through that, so the transit of Jupiter in the Pisces sign in your 4th house is definitely going to help you recover and rejuvenate from all of those situations as well. Moving ahead, friends, now if you want to understand the results for all the Capricorn ascendant natives, so definitely, friends, in your case this transit is going to be bringing some very good news. In your case, Jupiter has got the rulership of your 12th house and your 3rd house, and in transit Jupiter is going to be getting strengthened in your 3rd house. Now friends, this is little bit vulnerable in this front because definitely Jupiter has got the rulership of the house of expenses. Even in the original Kalpurush Kundli, the third house placement of Jupiter is seen as the Mandakaraka Avastha. So I would say that when we talk about the spiritual prospects of this transit of Jupiter, they might take a toll. But when we talk about the material prospect, regarding that front, Jupiter can actually open up new doors for you. Specifically, if your life hovers around the third house related matters. You are a freelance business person, you are an entrepreneur, anything to do with sales, media, marketing, advertising, all those people can definitely get benefited with this entry of Jupiter in your third house. The good part over here is that, friends, definitely the Jupiter's transit in the Pisces is all about going beyond. So if you are a kind of person, like for example, you are a Capricorn ascendant person, and let's say for example your moon sign is Virgo as well, so you are a kind of person who always seek for the perfection. So definitely the sense and degree of perfection in your craft is going to get increased during this time. I would say that with the transit of Jupiter in the Pisces in your third house, definitely in terms of opportunities, new initiatives, helping you, supporting you, this is a very good time. But Jupiter and the Pisces energy is all about showing compassion to the living signification of the house. So remain very much compassionate, very much empathetic towards your younger siblings, towards people in your neighborhood, towards your friends, and trust me, this is the best remedy which can definitely bless you with more opportunities, improvement of the life circumstances, and any of the ideas or goals you are working forward to or looking forward to. You might get some insight, or you might remain lucky in deriving the support from the people around you as well regarding the fulfillment of your goals. And I've already mentioned this thing, all those people who straight away come within the purview of the third house related matters. You are a YouTuber, you are a content creator, you are in media, marketing, performing artist, all those people can definitely get benefited. New opportunities, new signups, new collaborations. Moving ahead, friends. Now, if you want to understand the results for all the Aquarius ascendant natives, so definitely, friends, Jupiter is a important planet for you guys. It has got the rulership of your house of opportunities and house of finances. So Jupiter getting empowered and dignified in the second house can be seen as a very good news. So I would say, friends, that definitely if you are in any sort of family business, you are in the fields of banking or finance, you can definitely get benefited. Second house transit of Jupiter, that too in the Pisces, is all about compassion, sensitivity regarding people who are very close to you. And these are the qualities which comes naturally to all the Aquarius native. They are the most innocent, most philanthropic amongst all the signs, amongst all the ascendants. So definitely this is the time when all of your compassion will get right set of platform to be shown and displayed to the people who are close to you. So be in this mode of reaching out to people who are close to you if you can help them in any ways. Regarding the financial front, definitely, friends, a lot many opportunities. I would advise to all the Aquarius ascendant natives during this time, keep your social life active. Collaborate with people, reach out to people, remain accessible to other people. And I would say that regarding the financial front, new opportunities, some improvement of your current prevailing circumstances, the way you manage your finances and everything. So some new insight, new ideas can actually be foreseen with this entry of Jupiter in your second house. And the good part over here is that, friends, definitely if in your case your speech, your presentation skills, your talking in a big platform with people, with the masses, like generally which is a field of musician, actors, YouTubers, or you have your own training tutorials, all of that. So definitely you are going to get benefited, because second house also is the house of our speech as well. So the way you express yourself, the way you present yourself, and definitely you will be able to relate well with people. Your audience, your listeners will be able to relate, connect well with you. And along with that, friends, financial gains, opportunities, and empathy towards people who are very close to you can be seen as a theme of this transit for all the Aquarius ascendant natives. And lastly, friends, for all the Pisces ascendant natives, so definitely, friends, in your case, Jupiter is going to be entering your first house, which can be seen as a very good news. And Jupiter, which has also got the rulership of your 10th house as well. So I would say that specifically for the enhancement of your public image, your reputation, your prestige. This can be seen as a very good time. Along with that, friends, like when we talk about Jupiter, which is the significator of good fortune, of wisdom, of transcendental knowledge. So Jupiter getting empowered in your first house, and beyond doubt, Saturn is also going to be very soon in 2023. It's going to enter your 12th house, but during this year, briefly for 3 months, it is going to be transiting in your 12th house as well. So the spiritual bliss and all those things which need to be cut down, all those habits, all those engagement, all those activities, all those people which needs to be cut down from your life for the enhancement of your knowledge, of your wisdom, of your good health, of your prosperity, can be foreseen with this transit of Jupiter right over there in your first house. So remain very much open towards receiving the divine grace with right set of mentors, advisors, divine omens communicating with you, guiding you on your path. So regarding that front, friends, this transit of Jupiter in your first house for all the Pisces ascendant natives can be seen as a very good news. And beyond doubt, friends, I already mentioned this thing, Jupiter has also got the rulership of your 10th house of your profession as well. This is the house which represents authoritative figures, prominent people. So I would say, friends, definitely you will be able to win over any sort of challenges. You will be able to gain the sort of trust and confidence of your bosses. And if you have your own business, you are self-employed, so some new opportunities, growth and more prosperity in your line of work, in your business can be foreseen with this transit of Jupiter in your first house. So that is something, friends, which I wanted to say as my input on this upcoming transit of Jupiter in the Pisces sign on April 13th. For further more updates and notifications on the divine signs of Vedic astrology, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like my Facebook page. Dhanyavad.